It is a pleasure to be with all our families that we have been working together for years, and unfortunately, the situation in the world disconnected us physically, but thanks to the technological breakthrough of the Zoom, we can all meet via the internet, and we tried to keep in touch all along this year with our families and try to continue the therapeutic process. With some of the families, we have started new processes. It was challenging, it is challenging, but no virus will break us. So thank you all again for joining us. We also have new families that are interested to know a little bit about what is First Step and what is the process all about of creating an environment for children with special needs and their families in order to improve the learning skills and improve the potential or fulfill the potential. So the list of the wonderful professional people and families that will attend this international webinar is as follows. The first one will be Camila Prandi, who is a mother of a wonderful, amazing child, Giovanni, that we have been working together for 10 years. And she will talk about her term that she developed. What does it mean, first stepping a child? It's not easy to translate, I know. The second lecturer would be amazing professional manager, Shirit Perry-Cohen, and she would talk about how to improve cognitive abilities with sensory motoric learning. After her will be wonderful and amazing professional manager that lives in Spain now, Anat Fürstenberg, and she will talk about how to improve communication skills and speech by family constellation. After her, we have Dr. Francesca Parise, who is, first of all, a doctor that specializes in geriatric field. And she decided about a year ago to, she has already moved to the children's world a few years ago, opening a structure in Milano. She will talk about it, and she decided to be one of our students in the international professional training program. And Dr. Parise will talk about the connection between her world in the past and her new world. After her, I will end the webinar with a very interesting concept that we have developed in First Step, is how to use the feeding processes as a therapeutic tool. And that will end the webinar, and after that we will have a couple of minutes or a little bit more for questions and answers. So I would like to start with some opening words about the people behind First Step. And I would like to introduce, and some of you know her for a long time, Francesca Seghi, who is our partner and our representative in Italy, Germany, and Switzerland. Francesca has been with us for more than 10 years, and a lot of families are also supported by her and by her wonderful skills. Also, I would like to thank all the people in First Step and in our management, and especially to welcome Mrs. Chava Rothstein, who is our new CEO for the last 6 months, for having this webinar happening, and all the people behind, Liad, Stavi, my daughter, and Lisa. I hope I did not miss anybody. And if we can go to the second slide, I will present two issues that we are going to address in this webinar. The first one is how to make the parents a major part of the environment behind the child, and how to have parents know their important position in having their children improve, change only by learning, only by creating awareness in the way they are parenting. We found in First Step that the parental guidance is crucial and very, very important for many changes in the future. And Camila will talk a lot about it. Another important factor that I would like to, that we would like all to talk along this webinar is the fact that every child can learn. Every nervous system, whatever state of physiological, mental, emotional situation, is able to learn by creating the right environment. This would be one of the major issues that we would talk in this presentation. In First Step, we are approaching three basic fields. The first field is that we address babies and parents with normal development, guiding the parents and guiding the babies for the ability to fulfill the potential and make all the environment suitable for this process to happen. Because of the modern world and many changes that happened in the last 50 years, parenting and upbringing of children has changed a lot. And this is one of the major methods that we approach in the First Step structure. The second is the training programs, our college, or our professional college that is allowing people to learn to be professionals in First Step and becoming a baby's development child professional. The third is the issue that we are going to focus today is about our special program for children with special needs. And with a lot of respect and with a lot of appreciation, I am giving the words to Camila, please.
Thank you, Shai. Thank you, everybody. I am a bit emotional today because I was just remembering with Shirit that this week it's really our first stepping anniversary, because we were there for the first time in Tel Aviv with Joe 9 years ago. So 9 years has gone by, but let me start from the middle. Shai asked me to talk about first stepping ourselves and our child. So a few years ago, in the middle of the process, we were in Tel Aviv and we start telling each other, you are first stepping me, realizing that this approach to development, evolution, and change had become part of our lives, but also of ourselves. As I said, 9 years ago, we have started a journey that it's still ongoing and has taken us to the limits of what we were. But most importantly, has taken Giovanni, to become the best version of who he could have ever been. And let me try to summarize for you what first stepping us meant to us and why we will not stop first stepping ourselves. Firstly, parents are part of the problem in a child development, but luckily we are also can be the solution. Italian parents, mothers especially, are very hands-on average a bit controlling, anxious, culturally invasive human beings. We tend to step in and do it for them, for our kids. I first step myself every day in most situations. I need to try to remember not to interfere, but to give the right time at the right moment, generating situations that are just hard enough for my child to face, and then wait next to him for him to find the right resources. I know now that means to watch my child fail most of the time. Painful as it is, that is an essential part of the trick. Once you have been first stepping yourself long enough, you know all too well that when we mothers and fathers step in, we trick ourselves into believing that I'm doing it for them, when really it's only for self-preservation, not for our child benefit. Secondly, I soon discovered that I need to know myself a lot better. I would have needed to understand what triggered my deepest fears and expectations in order to be an effective and effective parent for my child, for my children, really. Authenticity is something that children read through and follow. One of the main obstacles for me to dive into the depth of it was recognizing that I did not have to accept my child's disability, but I had to accept myself of his mom, a mom of a difficult, different, and somehow very painful child. Shai, Shirit, and all the other instructors that have crossed our ways in these long 9 years have taught us to be less pitiful, less condescending, less accommodating, less attending. They have pushed us to put obstacles in our child's way in order for him to learn how to overcome them with his own strengths. Pillows to be climbed over, bodies to push away to reach something you want. By doing that, you generate not only the movement, the capability, but the will, the drive, the sense of achievement. And this bio-neurological process is what has really driven Joe forward every time, a step further. First step has taught us how important it was to endure the pain every day of watching your child struggle, if that pain was there to generate improvements. Thirdly, a child needs to crawl before walking. Everybody knows that. Automatic children, the one who are born automatic, do that naturally. But sometimes you need to first step our child to go back to the basics, to the previous competence and behavior to acquire the next one. Lastly, body and mind are one thing together. Western culture, our school system, pushes competition onto the cognitive, intellectual level, overlooking the impact of our body on shaping our minds and capabilities. First, step yourself every day into the deep understanding of how senses, gross motricity, balance, proprioceptive system have a deep, deep influence on your children's development. Soon after we have started first step, I have noticed how Joe was more attent and concentrated after physical exercise, but also through his body, through his senses, through rolling together on the floor. Joe has developed the sense of himself. He has built his ego. Joe has learned, yes, I can, through all kinds of situations that Shirit and Shai and all the other instructors have put in front of us, slowly, at the right level of difficulty, dosing frustration and success, teaching us that the learning is in the process, not in the results. But to be effective, you need, as a parent, to embrace the approach, for stepping yourself in all situations and in normal lives. Change your home to facilitate movement. Our living room has hosted a bubble pool, mattresses, puffs, stairs and slides, and more recently, as Joe was growing up, a climbing wall and a wall bar. You can't tell your child to be more active, sorry, and spend the day on the sofa. We are the most important step of the first stepping ladder. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Camila. As always, your words make us all emotional, and the way you and your wonderful partner, Lelio, has been learning and being there for your child and for your family is really, I'm speechless. Yeah. Thank you for being our one major part of the First Step family. Thank you. And the words are now to Shirit.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, just one sentence because I'm also very emotional, Camila, by your words. And before I start, just to tell you that it's been amazing to have us being a part of your life for 9 years. So, congratulations for celebrating the 9 years. And I'm so pleased and honored to be a part of this process. So, hi everybody. Nice to meet you. My name is Shirit, and I have been working in First Step for the last 15 years. And the subject that I'm going to talk to you today is about cognition and the connection to the sensomotor learning with a child, which is by itself a very wide and significant topic in the developmental and learning process that we are working and achieving for. So basically, if we are looking at this topic, there are many parameters that are affecting and being affected one to the other. If it's movement, if it's the sensory systems, communication, language, social development, emotional development, cognitive development, self-esteem, confidence, and awareness. And through the years, we found out that working with many families, as Shai said before, that every child has his own potential and a different potential from one to the other. But the potential is there. Every child can learn how to explore, to think, to require different kind of skills, to be able to develop and solve problems and challenges. We found that there are many possibilities for a child to produce cognitive learning processes through sensomotor skills by combining the ability to move, to touch, to balance, and to sense the world, to sense my body in connection to the world. We are combining different kind of games, sensomotor games that the parents and the siblings take part of in order for the child to understand his ability to learn. So if we want to understand the connection between the cognition and the sensomotor skills, we need to understand that a child needs to learn how to understand his environment, because basically every baby or a child that come into the world observe a lot of information, and the brain, the nervous system, what it wants to do, it wants to put everything in the right order and place. And what we are doing is allowing him to do it step after step, gradually. At every part, we need to see what he needs to learn. And then we are looking at what we can create in terms of conditions for him to be able to learn, and then how to implement it. And this is the way we are looking, by the way, at all of the learning processes in first step. And it's very important because otherwise we are working very automatically. And as I said, because every child has his potential, but it's a different one, then we need to see how to manage it in the right way. And this is something that allows the child to be a part of the world. It allows the child to be a part of his family and not to feel different. It allows the child to be a part of his classmates, if it's in the kindergarten or in school. It allows him to be and to feel a part of a group, which is something that I think everyone as a human being thrives and wants to get there. So the idea is not to see only the starting point of every baby and a child, but to see the way that we can go and what we believe that he can achieve. It's such a major topic, and I thought of how to summarize it in a very, very short time. But as Camila said, that one of the major things that we are doing, specifically in the cognition part, is really to allow the child to take part of everything that is going on in the family's routine and his daily life. Gladly, the opportunities to do this learning process are endless. It can begin with a child that is lying on the stomach and not lifting the head, and we are blocking his sight, his ability to see, and then we are calling his name or making a sound. What the nervous system will try to do is to move the head and to look for the sound or the person that is calling his name. This is the connection between cognition, understanding situation, and trying to move myself. We are also doing different kind of processes. I will show you in just a short while a video that we are sitting everybody together. Again, parents, siblings, everybody that are in contact with the child. And we're choosing one topic that we want the child to learn. And everybody is doing it in his own turn. We are calling it, I know that some of the families will smile now because they know it. We call it the Swiss soldier. And it's mainly not to have the focus only on the child, that will not feel pressure, that will not feel that somebody is expecting something from him. Everybody is a part of the learning process. And it allows him to be free to learn. We take all the stress away. Sometimes we are using stressful things in order for him to learn, but we think that a child needs to be clear in his mind in order for him to learn. So cognition is based on the term of learning, and learning is based on the sensomotor skills, and the sensomotor skills is based on the order and organization of the brain and the nervous system.
Guarda, chi è? Mamma? Giulio?
First, I would like to say a major thanks to the Albertazzi family. I'm working with them for a few years, and this is Giulio. He's 7 years old. And this is something that we did the first time they came to Israel. And this is a good example how we can choose a topic about the cognition that we want the child to learn. But because we know that when we are doing something directly towards him, he's feeling pressured and then he doesn't want to cooperate. In this way, everybody is sitting around the table. Every time somebody needs to do something, we are not telling him if he's doing wrong. We are not telling him how to do. He's looking, he's watching, he's focusing on what is happening, and then he's doing what he is able to do at that point. Another way that we are practicing this connection and learning process is that we are taking the learning to, I think, almost every part of the daily life. If it's connected to the school, if it's connected going out and how to play and how to manage a child if he needs to cross the street, how to manage and play with a child in the amusement park, going to the pool, going to the supermarket, basically every single thing that the child is a part of, and just allowing him to be a part of the shopping.
Due mani, Giulio. Molto bene, appoggialo qua.
We can teach a child to learn how to read and write without opening a notebook. We are doing things on the surface, and then we are taking it to the real life. And another video, and the last one I think that I would like to share with you, is how we can play together with different kind of movements and directions.
Sulla testa, good, testa giù, 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 ok. Sulla testa, ok, no, sulla testa, guarda mamma, dove mamma, dove la mamma, ok, testa giù, 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 ok, poi mani giù, sulla testa, sulla testa, su, sulla testa, ok, molto bene, molto bene, molto bene, molto bene, ok, bravo, basta, ok.
To summarize, I would say that we are looking at the ability of the child to learn, the family to be a part of, and for him to understand how he can explore the world. And there are a lot of ways to explore them. And as you saw in the last video, we can also do it in a playful way, because we want also the child and the parents to know that it's a process. And yes, sometimes it's a long one. So it can also be fun. And yeah, I think that's about it. So again, thank you for Giulio and the Albertazzi family for allowing me to use the videos from our process.
Thank you, Shirit. And good morning to everyone. My name is Anat Furstenberg. I'm working with First Step for almost 14 years. And today I will talk about the communication part. I will show you some videos of Margarita Cusciani. Thank you for the Cusciani family. Margarita is a 7.5 years old girl, and the family is working with First Step since 2015. And one of the important things is that when we're talking about the communication part, We're speaking about the skills that we develop with the help of the family changes and the parental leadership. Sensory communication is used by humans for so many years, and humans created developed means of communication, which are based on the cognitive abilities, as Shirit presented earlier, the language, which exists by the speech, visually communication by writing or reading, the art, body language, music, dance, which all of these we are using throughout therapy. Communication is essential for the human integration into the society, for the child's ability to function with social communication, of the communication with other children, family members, teachers. And in the first step, what we are doing during the process is that we are leading to a learning process through changes that the whole family and the environment of the child is doing, and all of this based on the sensomotoric process. The first point that I want to talk about is the importance of the eye contact with the child while giving him the touch, which is one of the important things that we need to do. And some of us are doing it without thinking about reducing the screen time, because this is something that affects really badly of the communication part. And to talk about how important is it to play together with the child. When we're providing a child a rich sensory experiences, when we are talking to our child, it's important to note that we are making an eye contact, first of all, with the child to help them focus for what we are doing. We need to produce a short and clear conversation, which allow them a time to respond to what we're doing now or what we are asking them. If we see that our child is going to his world, is disconnected from what we are doing, what we are playing with, we can connect them by touching them, which will bring them back to us. Because when we touch someone, it connected him to us. It's important that the communication in this way will happen during all daily activities. Like Shirit said before, inside and outside home. It's important always to remember to create the eye contact even when we are outside and there are a lot of things are happening outside. So the touch will be the first and most significant thing that we will do with our child. I will just show you now a video about this point.
Hai un bambino? Che si chiama Marco. Lui andava al parco. Ma quando sei arrivata al parco, questo bambino ha iniziato.
We can see that in this video, we're telling Margarita a story about a child. But during the story, which she is a part of the story, she has to communicate with us. We're teaching her how to be on her side. We're giving her touch. We're touching her during all the time. And even doing the eye connection through the story. In this part, we also communicating with her on the ability of talking. Here it's the count, to count. The second point that I would like to talk to you is creating a dialogue with the child. We, as parents, tend to understand children. And Camila was talking about it at the beginning. It's very important that we will not understand the child directly. We need to make sure that the gesture or the words that he's saying are indeed clear. And especially what we want is that he will think about what he wants to say. And if it's not clear, we need not to understand what he's saying, because the intent is to understand the children. And the goal here is to produce learning process, a proper communication. One of the things that we can see is that grown-ups tend to understand other children, but children don't understand, and they're not giving time like grown-ups to the child. And we need to help him learn the correct way to communicate. For that, we must be patient in the process. We need to ask him again, what did he mean? What does he want? We want him to explain. It can be with words, it can be with signs, it can be in all kinds of ways, but we want him to explain exactly what he wants. Creating a dialogue with the child through play, through songs. We want him to understand exactly what he wants, and we can see it in the next video when we're doing a touch, and then we're asking him, do you want it slow or fast? Do you want it strong or soft? She needs to tell us what she wants. We need to understand her.
Mi lo dici? Che ti piace di più? Buffetta o gatto boy? Con la voce? Non ti sento. Con la voce. Forte.
We can see that all the time she's touching her. She's communicate Margarita to her.
Gatto boy. Vuoi massaggino?
Look at the eye contact during that time. We're trying not to give the child the opportunity to go to his world. We want to connect him by the eye contact, by touching him, by combining the sensomotorical during all the processes that we are doing when we're talking about communication.
O piano?
To be and not to be, when we are available to our child all the time, he doesn't have to communicate with us. And therefore, hide and seek games, moving to another room, will lead the child to look for us, to call us, to produce communication and make a sound. This is something that we want the child to learn. But when we are there for him and when we are available for him all the time, he doesn't need to do anything. He knows that we are there. He doesn't need to communicate with us. He knows what he wants, and he will get it all the time. Yes, this one.
Cece.
I sent her outside from the room. She's thinking now. Where is she? Now she's calling her.
Loud so she will hear you. Cece. Call her loud.
Now look what's happening when she's coming back. There is communication between them. The eye contact. She was looking for her. She was moving motorically. This is what we're talking all the time of the process of learning. The sensomotorical learning. It has to be together. The last thing that I want to talk, although it's such a big topic, is a very important one, which is the change of habits. When we create changes, everyone needs to adapt and respond to these changes. the change will provoke the child to some reaction, will bring to a communication of the child with the change. In the next video, which will be the last one also, we can see that we are hiding the game in the shirt, but we're giving Margarita to hide it. And then we did it a few times, and we saw that at the beginning, she doesn't remember where it is, but then she finds it. Now she needs to move. She needs to do something in order to find the game that she's used to get in hand. Usually we're giving it to her to play. Now she needs to do something. Okay, now we're changing the situation. We're doing the same, but we're standing, which will bring Margarita to use it in a different way, to use her body in a different way, to understand we're not on the floor anymore. She needs to change. Then we see that she's communicating and she's trying to understand what's happening here. And now she's starting to move and she's looking for it. This is communication. Communication can be expressed in different ways. In touch, when we are crying is a communication, or laughing. We can communicate with words or with gestures and so many other things. The most important thing is to remember that any type of communication is good. We want to stimulate it and develop more and more communication with the child, and to change the environment in the house in order to lead to a learning process of communication. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anat. Wow.
Buongiorno a tutti, io sono Francesca Parise e sono un medico, un geriatra, quindi per 10 anni della mia vita mi sono occupata degli anziani, in modo particolare dei malati di Alzheimer, quindi di quelle persone che a un certo punto della loro esistenza perdono parte delle loro funzioni cognitive e di conseguenza incontrano una serie di difficoltà nel relazionarsi con l'ambiente e con le famiglie in cui vivono. Diciamo il senso del mio intervento di oggi è quello di condividere un percorso professionale e umano che mi ha portato dopo gli anni di esperienza in ambito medico a dedicarmi invece a un momento della vita diverso. A un certo punto del mio percorso professionale, dopo la nascita dei miei figli, ho deciso di portare la mia esperienza professionale e la mia esperienza umana in un ambito diverso, che è l'età evolutiva. Quindi ho aperto una struttura per bambini, una struttura psicomotoria, Tomorò in Milano, che mi ha portato a trasferire le conoscenze rispetto alla persona che avevo accumulato negli anni di esperienza medica, in una fascia di età che è quella del bambino. L'incontro con First Step è stato sinergico con le mie conoscenze e con il progetto che avevo iniziato, ed è il motivo per cui ho deciso di diventare una studentessa del metodo e di conoscere in maniera più approfondita questo metodo. Perché, come accade nell'anziano, dove la geriatria è la scienza della complessità, è necessario un approccio alla persona non frammentato, un approccio completo, farmacologico sull'ambiente e sulla famiglia. Così nel bambino è necessario un intervento e questo è quello che inizialmente ho portato nel mio centro e che viene supportato dalla mia conoscenza di First Step, un intervento che preveda un approccio sul bambino, sul suo potenziale motorio, sul suo potenziale emotivo, sul suo potenziale relazionale e sul coinvolgimento completo della famiglia. La famiglia come parte integrante del processo, la famiglia che assiste, la famiglia che impara, la famiglia che porta a casa le conoscenze acquisite e che le condivide con tutti i componenti della famiglia. Quindi l'ambiente inteso come ambiente umano e ambiente domestico, inteso come supporto, come protesi, ma nella misura adeguata, quindi non troppo poco. Se nella misura adeguata diventa un compenso utile, se è troppo diventa disfunzionale, se è troppo poco diventa frustrazione. Quindi è quella giusta misura di supporto che consente di mantenere sia nell'anziano che nel bambino il potenziale attivo, residuo e di svilupparlo in una maniera proficua, diciamo. Come è possibile, come io ho notato diciamo, nella mia esperienza con i bambini, sulla scia di quella medica, è importante un'alleanza con la famiglia, è importante una comunicazione, dico per la diagnosi di demenza, anche nell'ambito dei bambini, una comunicazione diretta, sintetica, efficace e una comprensione da parte della famiglia del problema. È importante una condivisione degli obiettivi e, di conseguenza, dei risultati. Ed è importante un supporto del caregiver e della famiglia, cioè un prendersi cura di chi si prende cura, quindi un supporto emotivo. L'ambiente come facilitatore. In ambito geriatrico questo significa, è significato fare degli interventi domestici, quindi togliere degli ostacoli, un aspetto che può causare un'allucinazione, portare invece nelle strutture residenziali degli oggetti familiari che aiutino il malato a sentirsi a casa. Con i bambini, però, l'ambiente è un tramite importantissimo di intervento. Le caratteristiche dell'ambiente devono essere di essere un ambiente sicuro, facilmente esplorabile, stimolante e quindi stimola l'esplorazione motoria. Un ambiente in cui gli ostacoli non sono visti come ostacoli, ma sono visti come un qualcosa da superare per potenziare le funzioni. E l'intervento fatto nella finestra temporale giusta. Quindi sappiamo che durante lo sviluppo ci sono dei momenti in cui certe funzioni emergono. Il rotolamento, il cammino, il gattonamento, il linguaggio. Ed è in quella finestra che se l'ambiente e la famiglia sono adeguati, questa capacità emerge in maniera spontanea. Il focus, questo me lo ha insegnato First Step, e è sul potenziale, non è sul deficit. Non ci sono pezzi persi che non si possano reimparare, ripartendo, ricominciando, non perdendo step, ma ripartendo dal pezzo in cui il percorso si è interrotto. Ma il focus è dove si può arrivare e non quello che manca. Ottica, il materiale che noi offriamo durante le nostre attività di gioco è un materiale che facilita un'esplorazione ed un miglioramento in base alle possibilità del bambino in quel momento. Ed è un intervento sulla famiglia, molto importante questo, che stiamo cercando di fare scardinando un po' quello che è il retaggio italiano iperprotettivo nei confronti del bambino, tenta a volte di proteggerlo bloccando l'evoluzione di un processo di apprendimento. Un lavoro di stimolo, di rimozione di paure, di incoraggiamento sulla possibilità di superare e e sulla possibilità di dare al bambino un'autonomia che è sicurezza, che è acquisizione della capacità di avere dentro gli strumenti che gli servono per andare nel mondo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Parise, Francesca. It's wonderful and very interesting, the connection between your experience in the past and so it's my part. I'm sorry for invading. I'm probably so excited to talk. I'm going to talk about feeding as a therapeutic tool, which means that it is connected to the fact that we can improve cognition through sensomotoric skills. We can improve communication and language through the body and movement. And we can improve the child's independence, the child's fine motor learning, the child's ability to hold and to work with his body through meals, through feeding. This is the basic idea. Food is a child's basic motivation. Also for us, food is a mean of survival, and it has a major power on the nervous system and on the brain. Food is not only nutrition, it is a learning process that every baby learns from the moment that he goes out to the world. He learns to eat. You see, a baby doesn't know anything at the beginning of his life, not like an animal that is after 2, 3, 4 minutes is able to stand up and walk and eat independently. For the human being, the nervous system needs a major connection to the environment. And without the stimulation of the environment, we don't have a learning process or a wrong learning process. So what do we learn in the process of the meal? Meal is also breastfeeding. We learn to communicate. We learn to communicate with the breast. We learn to communicate with the eye, looking at the piece of food. It is a communication. Communication is not only through among people. It's me and the environment. I touch, I communicate. By eating, we practice the motor learning, the fine motor learning, holding a spoon, holding the food. It is all fine motor learning. We learn to choose. We want this and we don't want that. This is yucky and this is so nice. And we learn to be independent. And in the next videos that I'm going to show about an Israeli child, very charming child, 4.5 years old, that was diagnosed on the autistic spectrum. He came to us in First Step during the COVID-19 3 months ago, not being able to walk, not being able to eat by himself. He was 100% completely fed with a spoon. He did not talk. And I would like to show you the process of the feeding. So at the beginning, you can see at the video on the left, the father feeding the child, and this is the way we met. This is already happening we already started in this process, and you can see that we guided the father to do it slowly. not as a function of feeding, but allowing the child to look at the hand of the father. Look at the hand-eye coordination, communication. We told the father, don't put the food inside the mouth. Take it 1 millimeter away so that the child will take his head forward and do something as a motivation, not that he will just sit like a king and be fed. He has to participate. This is also communication. And look also something very interesting, that he is moving with his knees forward. Okay, the second video is about him just getting acquainted with the fact that he's not being fed. He becomes very angry, very frustrated, but he can watch his sister doing the same. And this is what Francesca Shirit said before about the Swiss soldier process, that the child learns from the environment. Look at that, please. Okay, so here we can see Sharon, our therapist, working or conducting a process with the sister, and Mauri, the child, takes the hand of the therapist and tells her, not in words, feed me, and she doesn't. And he gets very frustrated. And this is where the point that I would later talk about, the frustration of parents, that is a continuation of the frustration of the child. What do I do as a father or as a parent when I see my child so frustrated? How can I make this? I have to help him. And this is where Camila was talking about first stepping. We want to help the child to be independent and not dependent. Look at the third video, please. Look at the situation that he needs to go to the spoon. We have another therapist here, Danielle, who is also introducing the fact, what does it mean to get dirty? What does it mean to sense with the hands something that usually parents don't want the child to be dirty or to make the surrounding dirty, and then they prefer to feed the child just because they don't want the house to be dirty or the child to be dirty. And then we lose all the potential for this child to eat by himself. All the children, all the babies, when they learn to eat, they make it dirty. Dirt is part of life. Don't be worried. You can clean after. Let's see some more situations of sensory learning. This child was terrified by touching. You can see that when he's touching something, he's like being attacked. This is very much connected to the sensory learning and autism. Autistic children have a major issue with the sensory system. This is where we show Meori that he can peel a banana by itself, by himself. Look. This is almost like Genesis. The child is discovering that there is a banana in the world. And you can open a banana. Banana is not something that goes into your mouth as a liquid. By the way, when he came to us, he was not eating solids, only yogurt and liquids. Through everything was mashed at the age of 4.5 years. Okay? And completely fed and not walking. He's already standing here. Another thing about this special child, he was not one day of his life in kindergarten, or he was in a kindergarten, but the parents did not feel that this was the right kindergarten for him, so they took him out and he was at home. So first step, told the parents how important it is for this child to be among children. And we had our practitioners that we have a practitioner that is going with the child to the kindergarten and is intermediating the children to him, that he will feel comfortable. Okay, now I would like just to summarize a little bit of the things that I mentioned, all we are doing. Through the need to eat, the child is ready and willing to use his full potential. It means taking the head forward, opening the mouth, do something, is because I am hungry and I want to eat. Hunger is a very good teacher. Of course, I'm not saying starving the child, but skipping 1 hour of the meal or 2 hours of the meal, nothing will happen. And the nervous system will learn a lot. Now, as Shirit and Danat mentioned before, that in first step, we take the function and we dismantling the function of everything. Here I want to talk about the function of feeding, of eating. First, hand-eye connection, then eye and the mouth connection, then hand, eye, mouth connection. This is all happening in the organic learning of every baby. Only if we as parents allow this to happen. And this is where I address you parents. Many parents don't know how important it is to allow the child to learn and not to do it for him. This is our main message in this conference. The transition from liquid to solid should be gradually, but still introduce it. Eating is not only nutrition, is not only a goal, but it is also a game. Yes, many parents say, Eating is not playing. It's not true. For babies, eating is also playing. It must be joyful. It must be something that happens together with the parents as a social happening, not just, okay, I want to feed you. It is a lot of things together. We use unhealthy food for the child to start eating because it is delicious. Sometimes healthy, nutritive food is not tasty for the child. So for the beginning, sometimes we use chocolate just for the child to learn to eat independently. Eating together with the whole family is not just sitting with the mother and the mother is sitting waiting for the father to come home and then they sit together alone. No, take time for the whole family to eat. Allow the child to watch you eat. Make a picnic on the floor. Go out, you can make a picnic also at home. This is the natural, organic learning. Yes, and it is a little bit dirty. And again, like I said before, how to deal with the child's frustration that I don't feed him. So you have to learn to eat by yourself through the desire to eat. And I want to show you the consequences of this learning with this child. So first of all, look what's happening here. In 3 months, the child learned to walk. He learned to drink by himself because he was only drinking from a bottle. And he learned to eat by himself. Look at all the function happening together. Hand, eye, mouth coordination. 3 months of very intensive work every day with a lot of dedication from the parents and wonderful guidance from the professional team. And this is where he's eating something that he was never close to bring to his mouth. He was eating only yogurt and creamy. He's eating something a little bit more solid. My message is, our message in first step, that is for you parents. My child can do it and is capable. Any child can learn. I just want to say that we are working with many different situations of children, and some children cannot learn what the others can. Of course, it's a big spectrum of possibilities. But every child in his very special place can learn. How much, we don't know. But I think that we need to give the possibility for the child to learn. And then we never know. I would like to thank all the wonderful families that have been with us for quite a long time. We hope that this conference has allowed us, first of all, to be together, and just for you to get the feeling of first step, and for us to get the feeling of you, where you are, and see the children and see your faces. And I'm so happy for you joining us. We are looking for a big change in being able to physically continue working with everybody. Fortunately, Israelis now can travel to Europe. So if families are interested to continue the connection with physically, our therapists will slowly, and we will get ready for being with you again, also with the families in Russia. So thank you all.